All right, for Bible today, Wednesday, we're breaking Acts 5 up into two parts. First part is about a brutal scene here with Ananias and Sapphira. When I was going through my teaching classes, I had a professor that said, and he was kind of joking about this. He said, you know, your first year especially, when you're in charge of your first classroom as a teacher, don't let them see a smile till Thanksgiving. He's saying, you know, kind of be rough, not maybe rough, but real strict early on, because it's way easier to be strict and then loosen up later than to start out being loose and letting kids get away with everything and then try to get stricter afterwards. And he was right about that. Now, I never followed don't let them see a smile till Thanksgiving, but I get the point. Now, God kind of does that too. Not kind of, he does. When he starts something new, there's a couple references here in the Bible. Well, with Ananias and Sapphira, the early Christian church was starting after Jesus had left and the Holy Spirit had filled these guys, and they were coming together. They were voluntarily giving to each other, and Ananias and Sapphira get kind of something brutal happening to them for not giving all they had. Well, this seems kind of harsh, doesn't it? Now, a man named Ananias, together with his wife Sapphira, also sold a piece of property. With his wife's full knowledge, he kept back part of the money for himself, but brought the rest and put it at the apostles' feet. Then Peter said, Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept for yourself some of the money you received from the land? Didn't it belong to you before it was sold, and after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied to men, but to God. When Ananias heard this, he fell down and died. And then later on we read his wife comes in, they say, hey, was this all the money? Oh, yeah. And then boom, she dies too. So why is that? Well, like I said, when God's starting something new, he's firm. He wants people to know he's serious. If we reference back to Leviticus 10, you can look it up. Moses' brother Aaron is kind of in charge of the priests, and Aaron's older sons are two priests, and they do something kind of lazy with the fire that they're supposed to present in the tabernacle. And God sends a fireball flying out of the temple and bang, kills them. And that's when they were first starting to worship God the way God wanted them to worship them. And God had to make an example out of them right away in the beginning, saying, I'm serious. Don't try to mock me by keeping something from me like you can fool me. And then in Joshua 7, if you remember, they take down Jericho. And then Achan, he steals some stuff, and God says, you know, everything in there has got to be killed, put to the sword, and burned up. You don't get to take anything from it. And the reason why God did that with Jericho is because it was the first city that the Israelites took when they came into what's now Israel. And anything that is the first is supposed to be dedicated to God. Like what you get paid from your paycheck, whatever's first should go to God, your 10%, and then the rest you live on. And when they were going into battle in the Palestine area, the land of Canaan, the first city, Jericho, was offered to God. Well, Achan took some gold or whatever it was, stuck it underneath his tent, and then he and his whole family had to be put to death. That's another example of you're trying to mock God. You're trying to pull a fast one on God. We could also even go back to the flood. You know, I mean, people were not following God, and God decided, I'm going to get serious early on. I'm going to wipe off the whole earth of people except for you, Noah. And you can also go back to the Garden of Eden and say, hey, right away, you guys lied to me, you're booted out of the garden, and sin enters the world. So trying to pull a fast one on God might have been something that they probably did often, because if they were worshiping false gods like Zeus and Aphrodite and all these other ones, I'm sure there's instances where a husband and a wife are thinking that they should sacrifice to Zeus, and the wife says, "Hey, husband, go out and take this good food and set it in front of the Zeus god on your way to work." "Oh yeah, okay, sure." And maybe he nibbles a bit on the way to work and doesn't give the full share to Zeus. Zeus ain't gonna know, right? So they were probably used to trying to pull a fast one on their gods, and God wanted them to know right away, I'm different. I'm the only God, and you can't pull one over on me. Okay? And all sorts of fears seized these people. The apostles healed many, and I'm going to do a second one about the apostles being persecuted.